Hey, what's going on? So I'm just going to jump right into it. This one's probably going to be a little more complicated than some of the ones I've done before. But right now I'm going to show you how to do comics from within SFM. Now, the first thing you have to do, open up Steam, go into your library, right click on SFM, go to Properties, set Launch Options, and make sure you put these options into it. Minus noqt, minus usevgui, and minus sfmcomicmaker. Just add this to whatever options you may have in here. Click OK. One caveat to this. Now I don't know if this happens on everybody's system, but I know it happens on mine. That when I put launch options in here, those launch options only seem to take effect if I launch from within Steam or if I use my desktop icon. But you'll see I have SFM here as a quick launch. When I launch it from here, it doesn't take effect. It just launches the vanilla SFM. So like for example, if I put in a launch option for 1080p so I can render out in 1080, if I just select this, I only have 720. But if I launch it from here or from my desktop icon, then it launches in 1080. Now it's a nice little feature. It allows you to turn the options on and off, without having to go in and delete them. But I mention it because when you put these in here, that if you don't launch it from here, you're not going to see these options pop up. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. Just launch SFM like you normally would. Create your session, load up a map. I cut all that out so you didn't have to worry about it. Now you want to set up a camera, position it, set up your models. Then once you do that, go into Windows, go to Engine Window, make sure this is unchecked. On mine, I already have that set. And you'll pop up this window. What you're looking at here is an older version of SFM. And it's got a lot of little features and things that were either cut out or just not included in later versions. Things like clip bin, file manager, things like that. We don't yet know what all is in here that might have been taken out, but what we're mainly concerned about now is the comic editor. Now you'll see up here the regular viewport. You have the engine viewport, secondary, and you have this, the comic editor. At first there's nothing here. And you also notice that the timeline, that this page has been added. Now as of yet there's nothing here. And make sure, if these aren't showing up for you, make sure that all these options in here are checked. So once everything's set up, just right click and go create comic. It'll bring up this page. Each of these are your pages for your comic. And when you want to add something to it, just right click, add panel from sequence. It'll bring up this window. And this is the same view as the camera from here. You can move it around, adjust it however you want. When you're ready to add, just click add, and you see it adds a little panel here. And you click done. Now this is one panel for this page of your comic. Maneuver it around, you can resize it. Position it however you want. And you can even go back in here and actually make changes. When you get whatever you want, and you see in here, it's changed. So now say you want to add a second panel in here. So again, you can go in here, maybe change the camera angle. Click add, and say maybe you want to do a third one. Click add again. And every time you click add, what happens is it creates another clip in your timeline. So each panel, each of these is a different clip. That's how you can get multiple angles. And you can even go back in and remember that each one of those is a different clip, so in order to manipulate them, you have to make sure they're highlighted. So say this is the second panel we made. So say I want to make a change. And you go back in, just click on it and you see that it's changed. And you do the same for each panel. Now if you want to add balloons, just right click, go to add balloon. Now from here you can manipulate it however you want. You can move it around. And there are even other options in here. If you go to balloon, you can change the shape of it. You can even create connected balloons like this. When you want to add text, you click on the T and it'll bring up this little line, type in whatever. You can highlight it. Change the font. That did it down here. Yeah, and you'll notice that this is not very intuitive and is a little glitchy. You only have like a limited number of font options. There are other things in here that you can do. If you right click and go to properties, it brings up this window here, which anybody that's ever used the particle editor recognizes this. And from here you can do things like change the background color. can change the border. Change the size of the border. Various options like that. Make sure, if you want to do things like edit these, that this crosshair is selected. So if you go under edit, single edit mode, what this does is it lets you adjust the balloon any way you want. You can reshape it. You can add more lines to it to create whatever shape you want. Or if you don't like it at all, just Control Z. When you're done, just exit single edit mode. You don't have as many options for changing the panels. Like I've tried to go under single edit mode for these. It lets you change the size, but if you just try adding a line or try to reshape them at all, it doesn't do it. So you're kind of stuck with these squares. So it seems like it's an option that just wasn't fully implemented in here. So they haven't finished it. But this gives you like a few basic things that you can do. If you want to create a second page, you just right click here, add page, and it'll give you these size options. Then once you're done, right click and export page as low-res PNG. Just name it whatever you want. And there you go. Yeah, I'm not very inventive here, but you can change the quality. I don't know about things like render settings and how much effect they have. I haven't really tested all that stuff out yet. But feel free to experiment and see what other options you can come up with this. And you can change the background color. Just click on it. You see this page thing pops up. And I'm assuming that's if you have properties, the properties tab selected. Go to layers, layer background, and you can change your background. I haven't messed around with any of the other options in here yet. So I don't know what else you can do with it, and hopefully you find this interesting or at least a little helpful. I thank you for listening and see you again later.